For nearly 200 years, Sweden stayed neutral. Canada stayed loyal. So when Sweden suddenly offered Canada something no US ally ever gets, it wasn't just surprising, it was destabilizing. Because this wasn't about selling fighter jets, it was about selling independence. And Washington noticed. For decades, Canada has been one of America's most reliable defense partners. From the CF-18 Hornet to its long-standing commitment to the F-35 program, Ottawa rarely questioned one core assumption. If you're defending North America, you do it the American way. Same aircraft, same radar, same command systems. That shared foundation is what made NORAD work. Two countries operating as one, but in early 2025, something unexpected happened. Sweden's defense giant Saab stepped in and didn't just offer Canada fighter jets. They offered a completely different future. Instead of simply selling aircraft, Saab proposed that Canada build the Gripen E on its own soil, maintain it domestically, train its own engineers, and, most critically, control the aircraft's software and upgrades without foreign approval. That single detail changes everything, because this isn't how modern arms deals work anymore. Under the proposal, Canada wouldn't just fly the Gripen E, it would own it. The flight software, the radar integrations, the weapons compatibility. Ottawa could modify systems, upgrade sensors, and adapt the aircraft to Arctic missions without asking permission from Stockholm or Washington. That level of control is almost unheard of among NATO allies. And it's something the F-35 can never offer. With the F-35, every software update must be approved by the Pentagon. Every systems upgrade passes through Lockheed Martin. Even mission-critical changes are filtered through U.S. oversight. Countries don't truly own the aircraft. They operate it inside a tightly controlled ecosystem. So why would Sweden give Canada what the United States refuses? The answer isn't generosity. It's strategy. After officially joining NATO in 2024, Sweden faced an uncomfortable reality. Europe's defense structure is overwhelmingly dependent on American technology. More than 70% of NATO's fighter aircraft are built by U.S. companies. If Washington ever scales back its military commitments, something openly discussed during the Trump years, Europe's air defense network could fracture almost overnight. Sweden doesn't want to live inside that risk. It wants diversification, a strong North American partner that isn't fully locked into U.S. defense systems. And Canada fits that role perfectly. It's the second largest country on Earth. It controls massive Arctic territory. And that Arctic is rapidly becoming one of the most contested regions on the planet. Russia is expanding military infrastructure along its northern coast. China is declaring itself a near-Arctic power. The United States is increasing patrols. The North is no longer quiet. It's strategic. Canada needs an aircraft built for brutal conditions, not expeditionary wars thousands of kilometers away. And that's where the Gripen E enters the picture. Unlike the F-35, which was designed around high-tech coalition warfare in the Middle, East, and Pacific, the Gripen was built for survival in the north. Sweden designed it to take off from snow-covered highways, land on temporary icy strips, and operate with minimal ground support. The Gripen can be mission-ready just 10 minutes after a cold start. The F-35, by contrast, often requires specialized crews, proprietary diagnostic systems, and extended preparation time. In remote northern bases like Inuvik or Iqaluit, thousands of kilometers from major logistics hubs, that difference isn't theoretical. It's operational reality. The Gripen doesn't rely on exclusive spare parts or locked diagnostic software. A small maintenance team can keep it flying continuously, even in extreme cold. But performance is only half the story. What truly sets Sweden's offer apart is industrial power. Saab isn't just offering jets. It's offering jobs, knowledge, sovereignty. Canadian aerospace giants like Bombardier could manufacture airframe components. TAE could develop advanced pilot training systems. Thousands of Canadian engineers would gain hands-on experience maintaining, upgrading, and improving a modern fighter aircraft without waiting for approval from a foreign government. For Canada, this would be nothing short of an industrial revival, and that's exactly why Washington is uneasy. There are three specific fears driving U.S. concern, and none of them are minor. The first is control of NORAD. NORAD was built on uniformity. Same aircraft types, same sensors, same communication systems. That uniformity allows Canada and the US to function as a single defensive shield. If Canada deploys the Gripen, that shield becomes hybrid, part American-controlled, part fully Canadian. What happens if Ottawa upgrades Gripen software without informing the Pentagon? What happens if Canada restricts data sharing over surveillance concerns? For the first time in NORAD's history, Washington would no longer have full visibility over every aircraft defending North American airspace. For Pentagon planners, that's not a technical issue, it's a strategic nightmare. The second fear is the NATO domino effect. If Canada, America's closest ally in North America, publicly chooses the Gripen over the F-35, the signal to other NATO members would be impossible to ignore. Countries like Denmark, Belgium, Spain, and the Netherlands are already struggling with rising F-35 operating costs and lower than expected readiness rates. Finland has committed over 10 billion euros for 64 F-35s and has yet to receive its full fleet. Meanwhile, the Gripen E is already operational in Sweden and Brazil. If Canada openly declares that a nation can defend its airspace without locking itself into the U.S. defense ecosystem, the F-35's promise of absolute interoperability begins to look more like dependence than partnership. And when one country starts asking questions, others follow. The third fear is industrial competition. If Canada begins producing the Gripen domestically, it wouldn't take long for Ottawa to become the Gripen hub of the Western Hemisphere. Mexico is searching for new fighter aircraft. Chile has retired aging fleets. Colombia needs replacements. Each of these nations could choose Canadian-built Gripens instead of American platforms. This isn't just about lost sales. For 80 years, the United States has maintained dominance in the Americas through weapons monopolies. Countries fly American aircraft, fire American missiles, and rely on American radar systems. Washington knows exactly where those systems are and how they're used. The Gripen breaks that pattern. A technologically independent Canada gives Latin America a second option, one not controlled by Washington, and that leads to the concern that troubles U.S. officials the most. If Canada chooses the Gripen, NATO changes permanently. For decades, interoperability has been NATO's guiding principle. But over time, that word became shorthand for reliance on U.S. systems, when nearly every member flies American aircraft. Washington holds the final say. Sweden has already proven another path is possible. The Gripen is fully compatible with NATO's Link 16 network. It can share tactical data with the F-35, Eurofighter, and Rafale, while Sweden retains full control over its software and upgrades. If Canada follows that model, smaller NATO members will take notice. The message would be clear. You don't need total dependence on a superpower to be secure. Russia and China are watching closely. For Moscow, Canadian-based Gripens represent a direct challenge. The aircraft was designed to counter Russian air doctrines, including low-flying aircraft and long-range air defense systems. Its electronic warfare capabilities are reportedly capable of degrading advanced systems like the S-400. Stationed in northern Canada, Gripens could maintain persistent Arctic patrols at a fraction of the cost of heavier aircraft, turning what Russia once viewed as a quiet northern flank into contested airspace. China is paying attention for a different reason. Beijing has long argued that reliance on a single supplier creates vulnerability. If Canada, a longtime U.S. ally, publicly concludes that diversification is smarter, it reinforces that argument globally. That doesn't mean Canada would align with China, but it does signal a world in transition. And that's what this debate is really about. The choice between the F-35 and the Gripen isn't about speed, stealth, or radar range. It's about philosophy, dependence in exchange for security, or independence with real consequences. If Canada chooses the F-35, it preserves its special relationship with Washington. NORAD remains seamless. Diplomatic friction disappears, but Canada remains a customer, never an owner. If Canada chooses the Gripen, it regains technological sovereignty, rebuilds its defense industry, and sends a message heard far beyond its borders. But the cost would be real. Diplomatic pressure, political tension, and the challenge of integrating two different systems inside NORAD. There is no easy choice. For decades, the world expected Canada to take the safe path. Stay aligned, avoid risk, preserve the status quo. Sweden's offer changed that. The Gripen isn't just a fighter jet. It's an invitation into a different world order, one where alliances don't automatically mean dependence, and where mid-sized nations control their own technological destiny. Canada's decision won't just shape NORAD's future. It will redefine how nations think about power, sovereignty, and security in the 21st century. When independence and security can't perfectly coexist, what should Canada choose?